I never imagined that love would find me so late in life, at the age of 43, when I had long resigned myself to a quiet, solitary existence filled with routines that had become my armor against loneliness. My days were structured like clockwork, waking up at 6 in the morning in my modest two-bedroom apartment in the bustling suburbs of Mumbai, brewing a strong cup of chai while listening to old Bollywood melodies on the radio, then commuting to my job as a mid-level accountant in a firm that dealt with corporate taxes. Endless spreadsheets, audits, and meetings that blurred into one another. By 43, I had climbed as far as I thought I could in my career, earning enough to live comfortably, but not extravagantly, with no family obligations pulling at my wallet since my parents had passed away a decade earlier, and my only sibling, an elder sister, lived abroad with her own family. Relationships? They had come and gone like fleeting seasons. In my 20s, there was enthusiasm, blind dates set up by well-meaning aunts, college crushes that fizzled out, and a brief engagement in my early 30s to a woman named Priya, whose ambition took her to America while mine kept me rooted here. After that heartbreak, I dated sporadically, but nothing stuck. Women my age often sought stability with children in mind, or they were already settled. Younger ones saw me as too serious, too set in my ways. I told myself I was content. Weekends spent reading novels by Ruskin Bond or watching cricket matches alone, occasional dinners with old friends who are now married with kids, talking about promotions and school fees, while I nodded politely, hiding the quiet ache inside. Loneliness wasn't a sharp pain anymore. It was a dull companion, like the faint hum of the ceiling fan in summer nights. I had convinced myself that true love, the kind written about in poems and sung in songs, was for the young, for those who still believed in destiny. At 43, I was practical, pragmatic, a man who balanced ledgers by day and his emotions by night, never allowing hope to disrupt the equilibrium. That illusion shattered on a chilly December evening in 2025. The kind of evening where the fog from the nearby sea mingled with the exhaust of rushing vehicles, turning the streets into a hazy dream. I had stayed late at the office, wrapping up a quarterly report that no one would appreciate, but everyone demanded. By the time I emerged from the metro station near my home, it was past 8, and the winter bite was sharp enough to make me pull my woolen scarf tighter. Hunger gnawed at me, but cooking felt like too much effort. So I headed toward a small coffee cart that had recently set up outside the station. A humble setup with a blue tarp overhead, a gas stove, and a few plastic stools for weary commuters. The vendor was a woman I had noticed vaguely before, middle-aged like me, with salt and pepper hair tied in a simple bun, wearing a faded sari under a shawl, her hands moving efficiently as she poured steaming coffee into paper cups. The crowd was thinning, but a few office-goers lingered, chatting idly. I joined the short queue, my mind still replaying the day's frustrations, a client who had argued over deductions, a colleague who took credit for my work. When it was my turn, she looked up and smiled, not the polished smile of customer service, but something genuine, warm, crinkling the corners of her eyes. "Black or with milk, sir?" she asked, her voice soft yet clear, carrying a faint accent from perhaps the northern parts of India. "Black, strong," I replied, fumbling for change in my pocket. As she handed me the cup, our fingers brushed briefly. Nothing dramatic, just a fleeting touch, but in that instant, something electric passed through me. Her eyes met mine, deep brown, lined with the stories of hard work and quiet resilience, yet sparkling with an unspoken joy. "It's very cold tonight," she said conversationally. "Drink it slowly, it'll warm you from inside." I nodded, mumbling thanks, but I couldn't move away immediately. There was something about her, Radha as her nameplate read, that pulled at me. Not beauty in the conventional sense. Her face bore the marks of life, fine wrinkles from smiling too much perhaps, or from worrying, but an aura of quiet strength that made the noisy station fade into the background. I sipped the coffee standing there, pretending to check my phone, but really stealing glances at her. She served the next customer with the same kindness, asking about their day, remembering a regular's preference for extra sugar. How many years had it been since someone had spoken to me with such simple warmth, without agenda? My ex-fiancée, Priya, had been sharp, ambitious. Our conversations always laced with plans and critiques. Friends were polite, but distant. Here was a stranger, a street vendor no less, treating each person as if they mattered. I finished the coffee too quickly, the bitterness lingering pleasantly on my tongue. And as I handed back the empty cup, I found myself saying, "This is the best coffee I've had in ages." She laughed lightly, a sound like tinkling bells in the cold air. "It's just instant mix, sir, but thank you. Come again tomorrow if you like." I walked home that night with a strange lightness in my step, the fog seeming less oppressive. Sleep came easier, dreams tinged with that smile. The next day, I deliberately left work on time, making excuses to colleagues about an appointment. The cart was there, Radha bustling as usual. I ordered the same, and this time I lingered longer. "Busy day?" she asked, as if we were old acquaintances. I opened up more than I intended, complaining about the office politics, the endless paperwork. She listened intently, nodding, then shared a bit about her own day. Rising at dawn to prepare the cart, dealing with suppliers who hiked prices, the joy of seeing familiar faces. Her husband had passed away 15 years ago, leaving her with 2 young children to raise alone. Now grown, one son in Pune working as an engineer, a daughter married in Delhi. She ran the cart to keep busy, to feel useful. "Life doesn't stop, does it?" she said philosophically. "It just changes shape." I was captivated by her resilience, her lack of self-pity. In a world where people complained endlessly on social media, here was someone who had faced real loss, yet chose gratitude. Day after day, I became a regular. Our conversations deepened. I learned she loved old Hindi films, Raj Kapoor's era, songs by Lata Mangeshkar that she hummed softly while working. I confessed my own fondness for reading, recommending books she might enjoy, even bringing her a worn copy of The Guide by R.K. Narayan one evening. She read it in snatches between customers, discussing the plot with me the next day, her insights surprisingly profound. "Rosie was brave," she said, "leaving everything for her passion. Not many women could do that in my time." I saw parallels in her own life, the quiet courage of a widow rebuilding alone in a judgmental society. She asked about my family, my past heartbreaks, and I told her everything, surprised at my own openness. With Radha, there were no pretenses. She saw through my guarded exterior to the man who yearned for connection. One evening, as rain threatened and customers dwindled, I mustered courage. "Radhaji, would you like to have coffee somewhere else? Not here, I mean, a proper cafe." My heart pounded like a teenager's. She looked at me for a long moment, then smiled softly. "Why not here? This is my world, and you've become part of it." But she agreed, suggesting a small nearby eatery on her day off. That date was simple: filter coffee and vada pav, talking for hours about dreams unfulfilled. Hers of traveling to Kashmir someday, mine of writing a book, perhaps. As we parted, she touched my arm lightly. "You're a good man, Arjun," she said, using my name for the first time. In that moment, at 43, standing under a street lamp with rain starting to drizzle, I knew I had fallen irrevocably in love. It wasn't fireworks or passion of youth. It was a deep, steady warmth, like the coffee she served, bitter at first sip, but comforting as it settled. Our relationship blossomed quietly. No grand gestures, just daily meetings at the cart, occasional walks in the nearby park, sharing meals I cooked at home. Simple dal chawal that she praised effusively. Friends raised eyebrows when I mentioned her. A street vendor? But I didn't care. Radha brought color to my grayscale life. Laughter that filled my apartment, stories that made nights shorter, a hand to hold that made the world less lonely. We faced small challenges, her hesitation about societal judgment, my own fears of vulnerability, but love, true love, smoothed the edges. Months turned into a year, we moved in together, her cart now managed by a helper while she enjoyed semi-retirement. At 43, I had found not just love, but a partner who mirrored my soul's quiet depths. It was unexpected, late blooming, but profoundly real. The moment I fell in love redefined my entire existence, proving that hearts have no expiration date. Years later, reflecting on that fateful December evening, I realize how perfectly imperfect our love story is. No dramatic proposals or fairy tale weddings, just two souls weary from life's journeys finding solace in each other. Radha and I now share a simple life filled with morning chai on the balcony, evening strolls discussing everything from politics to poetry, and the quiet joy of companionship that I once thought was forever out of reach. At 43, falling in love taught me that it's never too late for second chances, and every day with her feels like a gift unwrapped anew.